here. I want to talk about people who are in denial about being in denial. What do you do with people like that? You're trying to give somebody some good advice and you're trying to point out something to them that can help them to become a better person or to help them quit, falling in a certain area, and they won't even acknowledge the fact that they have this issue, and so they're going to continue to go through it, but yet they're going to continue to come to you and try to seek out advice and try to emotionally dump all of this stuff on you. And so you have to be mindful of people like that and know when to break away from them, because that's all they're going to do is just drain you. There's been people throughout my life that I've dealt with like that, and I had to formulate strong boundaries with them, because had I not formed strong boundaries with them, they would have continued to dump all of their emotional frustration onto me, having me going around bearing their burden and, keeping me in a place of just being in bondage. And that's not good for me at all. And I'm not the type of person that's going to stand for something like that. And so I have to keep very strong boundaries with people. And some people will see this as being standoffish or being antisocial, or even sometimes they'll say that it's rude. So be it. I'm not going to allow a person to use me to unload their stuff. That's just not going to happen. And especially if you're somebody who comes in the disguise as somebody who's seeking help and somebody who wants to be better, and all you're doing is just using me to vent, and then you continue to go out and do the same thing, I'm not going to continue to give you my time, because my time is valuable, so are my thoughts. And I'm not going to continue to cast my pearls to the swine, because that's basically what you're doing. Why are you going to give wisdom and knowledge and understanding to somebody who's not going to utilize it and just trample it under their feet? Word even instructs us not to do that. And so I do this, and people will be like, oh, well, you just don't. Whatever, man. Say what you want to say. But the fact of the matter is that you're in denial and you do not want to accept responsibility for your actions, because if you acknowledge that you have this issue, that means now you have to work on it. And this is giving you a level of responsibility that you don't want. That's all to it. So just say that and be honest and straight up, instead of beating around the bush and trying to come up with these lame excuses that aren't fooling anybody. It's just that people that love you and people that's in your circle don't want to hurt your feelings. And so they're not willing to tell you that, no, that's a lame excuse. It's unacceptable. You're just trying to procrastinate and stall. People don't want to tell you that, because they feel like they're doing you a favor by not hurting your feelings. But really, hurting your feelings may be the spark to motivate you to get up and actually do something. And so, yeah, I don't care about hurting your feelings. Sometimes it's necessary. And I don't care who feels any type of way about that. But getting back to the topic, I don't want to stray away too much. Yeah, we definitely have people out here who are in denial about being in denial. It's a defense mechanism. We all deny certain stuff. We was all taught when we were little kids that if something is bad, then we're to get away from it. We're to avoid it, and we're to not be around anything that's bad, with the potential of us being hurt or even killed. And so in our mind, we formulated this idea that anything that we consider bad, we have to avoid it. And so this includes things in our life and things in our personal life, our character, our personality, and all of these flaws and things that we deal with on the regular. These are things that are in our life that need to be dealt with, but we've been taught that these things are bad, so we have to avoid them, and we keep it in the same context as everything else. But in reality, you have to rightly divide that thought so that you know that you have to avoid things that are physically harmful to you like that. And some of these things that are in our life, for one thing, they were created by us. So a lot of these issues that we deal with is something that was self-inflicted anyway. So we should face our issue that we created. Okay. And part two is, when you're in a state of denial, you're never ever going to come to a state of understanding. Denial is the enemy of understanding. Absolutely 100% the enemy of understanding. And so that's why I'm always harping on understanding. That's why I'm always reiterating that. That's why I'm always going back to understanding anytime I have a conversation with anybody, because that is the key that is missing right now in this world that we're living in. Nobody's understanding anybody. Everybody's saying half sentences, or they're either lying and they're using word manipulation to bring a certain narrative, which is not in the context of what they really mean. And so they're misleading people with the way that they're speaking and terminology and stuff like this. And it keeps people in a state of denial. It gives you an out. Whenever you use word manipulation and things like that, one of the most important parts of using word manipulation is giving yourself the space to backpedal and change up the story. That's one of the main key components of word manipulation. And this is something that a lot of people have mastered, unfortunately, and they get paid very handsomely to use this skill set within our society. And so as this goes forward, you see a whole lot of things that are taking place, and people are just saying, it's not true, it's not true, it's fake news, that's not real, that didn't happen, even though they have absolutely no proof to say otherwise. But they will say that it's not real and it's fake news. It's just because it don't fit their narrative, and it proves that they were wrong in a judgment that they made. And so they will stay in this state of denial, and they would rather see something destroyed than to admit that they were wrong. People have actually ran businesses into the ground because they didn't want to admit that they did not know what they were doing. Denial is a very strong thing, and something that my mom always said to me. She would say, denial is not a river. Contrary to popular belief, denial is not a river. That I always let her say, and it was a play on words. I'm big on words, so that's something that stuck with me all my life. But it's true. It's very true. Denial is not a river. This is something that we constantly use as a defense mechanism whenever we don't want to face something that we know we need to face in our lives. And so what do you do with the person who's in a state of denial? Nothing. Let life be their teacher, because life is going to teach them a lesson that you're not able to get through to their head. Life is going to force them to look at the situation. Life is going to force them to face the situation. And, based on how they react and how they respond, they're either going to learn a lesson or they're going to be a lesson for somebody else to learn from. That's just how that goes. That's the way of it. That's the life of it. That's the reality of it. So if you can't understand that, then you're probably in a state of denial yourself, and you really need a self-inventory. That is the word of the day right there, self-inventory. Well, actually, it's 2 words, but still, word of the day, self-inventory. Check yourself. Make sure that you're good. And nobody's going to be perfect all the way across the board. Nobody's saying that. But if you identify areas that you do have the power to change in, then I suggest you start working on those things. And then those things that you have no power to change, you leave it up to the Most High and let him work that out on your behalf. But as long as you're doing your part and what you have to do, then you don't have to be in a state of denial. A lot of people is drowning in denial. I like that. All right, this is your boy D-Mac, man. I just wanted to come on for a hot, quick talk. Thank you for the one person that came in and been paying attention to what I'm talking about. I hope you got something out of this. And if you didn't, oh well, I ain't getting paid to do this. This is your boy D-Mac, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.